All right, joining me now to break all of this down as we wait for Mitch McConnell, let's bring in Fox News contributor Deroy Murdock and former sex crimes prosecutor Scott Bolden. Guys, thank you very much. I apologize now if we have to break away for McConnell, but Deroy, we've already heard from McConnell this morning on the Senate floor. We've heard from Chuck Schumer. He wants to be completely briefed on the FBI investigation. We don't know what's in the investigation, but they're talking to everyone that seems to have witnessed, Brett Kavanaugh have a beer at a party. That's right. Have we just gone kind of too far in this program?
This has gone on too long. We've gone too far. The breaking news today is that Brett Kavanaugh apparently threw some ice at somebody at a party in college. This is ridiculous. This man has written 306 judicial opinions. I've heard no discussion about that. Now, if you're a liberal Democrat, I'm sure there's lots of things in his opinions you could challenge or say, how could he possibly rule this way? Why would he write such a thing? That's not part of the discussion. We're talking about ice in college. This is unbelievable. This needs to be wrapped up. There needs to be a vote. It needs to be put on the Supreme Court. They now have only 8 judges. This is now affecting the actions of the court. They're missing one judge. It's a bit like an engine with a piston missing.
Right, and they're not taking any controversial cases on right now. We should say there's a fraud case in front of the court right now. So maybe that's a good thing, Scott. But at the same time, look, I mean, certainly we want to take any charge of sexual assault seriously. But do you think that at this point, between the public hearings, the FBI investigation that's underway, do you think that it is being taken seriously enough to where whatever the FBI reports to the Senate Judiciary Committee should be deemed as the final say in the high school years, the college years of Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, the high school years and the college years are relevant, probative, and material. And by the way, I'm a liberal Democrat. I don't care if he threw ice at somebody at a bar 35 years ago. I really, really don't. But I will say this. This is about his credibility and the alcohol issue. See, the alcohol issue is important not because he was young and drank, but because if he overdrank and abused alcohol, that may be the bridge to whether he knows or doesn't know or remember whether he engaged in sexual misconduct with his 3 accusers or just as a general proposition.
I do want to be fair, though. Judge Kavanaugh did say under oath that he does remember all of those times. He doesn't have any lapses in memory or blackouts whatsoever.
Well, the record will speak for itself. The record will speak for itself, but I got to tell you, I've got a lot of friends who overdrank and who passed out, blacked out, or simply didn't remember. And if you ask them about it later, I've never had one say, yeah, I blacked out or I passed out. They simply have no recollection or they don't want to own it. He did deny it, but you also have these accusers now, either under oath or in discussions with the FBI, interviews with the FBI, who are laying claim and saying this, in fact, did happen. That's why the alcohol piece is so important,
But at the same time, Deroy, this is he said, she said. And again, I'm a woman saying this in this discussion. This is he said, she said, and there's no evidence. And a lot of these folks that the Democrats want to call, 24 new witnesses that they want the FBI to talk to, it's all about his drinking. It has nothing to do with these accusers. And one of them changed her story on NBC last night and said, I don't know if it was him. I'm not really sure. Yeah, this is where we're at right now.
We've got these people who are in that house at that alleged party. All of them say that not only do they say, okay, well, we see it differently. They say, what party? We were not at that party. They deny that part even took place. And you have the Deborah Ramirez case where supposedly he was showing his private parts at some party in Yale. I believe the paper of record, so-called paper of record, interviewed, as they put it, quote, several dozen, unquote, alleged witnesses. They all said, we don't know what she's talking about.
The New York Times, but so there you go.
So nobody else has backed up the stories of any of these accusers. None of them.
Scott,
Zero.
go ahead.
Yeah, but you see, those aren't denials. I've heard Kavanaugh say that. I've heard the other GOP groups say that. But that's not denials. They don't recall it, or they say they weren't there because they don't recall it. Listen, all the Democrats want to do, and hopefully the GOP, they ought to want to get to the truth of this. Doesn't mean he doesn't get on the Supreme Court, but he puts himself at risk if he says he didn't drink or he minimizes his drinking, and then you have witnesses that say otherwise. You have Mark Judge, who's been interviewed now, which was a good thing. Remember, the GOP didn't even want an independent investigation. You send the message to women, especially those who have suffered in silence, that they don't matter, that they don't care. They care more about putting Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. And shouldn't we care about his character? I mean, his unhinged performance last week raised a lot of concerns about his judicial temperament. But I don't know Judge Kavanaugh. I think he ought to be investigated.
I think I'd be really upset.
That doesn't mean you get angry and do partisan attacks on Democratic senators who have a vote vote, whether they're going to vote for you or not anyway. It was an unhinged performance, and I think that's on the minds of a lot of the American people just as much as whether he gets confirmed or not. And that pool of women who have suffered in silence, or the people who are brave enough to come forward, they've got to be heard, appreciated, understood, and determined whether this in fact happened.
Scott, we have to run, but they have been. Again, they have been.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
They have been. But at this, I will leave you both with this, though, and we have to run. Rachel Mitchell, who is the Arizona prosecutor, very well respected in the state of Arizona, said herself, as a prosecutor, she would never go forward with this case after what she heard last week because
there was no evidence.
No evidence.
Very much an expert in this
She's a
area.
very well-respected prosecutor in Arizona.
Not enough. She didn't have enough to even make that call. I'm a former sex crimes prosecutor. She jumped the gun on that one, I think.
Scott Deroy, this is the conversation going on around the country, and we've had it here for our viewers. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.